Good night. What's up? What's up? Thank y'all for coming in. And if you look in the background, yes, you will see my cat tree. You see the lady in my life. She's sitting back there. That's Maggie, my cat. And then you see all the boxes because I still have a lot of unpacking to do. I just moved into my apartment. And this is where I hang out. I often ask myself, why do you do this show on a Monday? Because Mondays usually kick my ass. It's usually a really tough day for me. But then I realized this is why I have this show on Mondays, because it energizes me. It brings me back to me. Because the day drains me. It takes everything out of me. And then being here, I just feel so much love. So thank you all for that. Welcome to Unbuttoned Live. I'm Erin, or E. If you can't say Erin, you can definitely call me E. This is a space for masculine presenting people, but everybody, first of all, but we highlight the experiences of masculine presenting people like me. I started this show when I was at a really low time in my life, late last year. I lost friendships, I lost relationships, I lost my cat. A lot hit me at once, and I was really grieving. And I came into this space, and there's this misconception that masculine presenting people should not show their emotions, and they are hard, and they are, or we are, not very sensitive. But I came in here and I laid it all out. I was grieving, and you guys really embraced me. And this became a safe space for me to heal. And as I've been healing and continuing to heal, I realized that this was bigger than me, and that this was helping other people as well. And so that's a blessing. And so I'm really privileged to be here in this space. So tonight we are talking about polyamory. To the Masc gent bosses, thank y'all for being here. I appreciate y'all, and I am so excited to hang out with y'all next month in Dallas. I'm gonna be there at the brunch. Whose couch can I crash on? Just kidding. But no, I plan on being there. I think I'm gonna make it a weekend. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm excited to come to Dallas because I have never been. So I look amazing. Wow. You know what? Here's the thing about that. You can't see the bags under my eyes. I'm still catching up on sleep. Whole weekend of events. Yes, I'm so excited. I'm really excited. And what I'm excited about is being in the presence of other masculine presenting people, trans people, non-binary people like me, who are really doing big things in the community. I respect what you guys are doing so much. I mean, I really, y'all are awesome. So yeah, tonight we're talking about polyamory, and I feel like polyamory is more visible than ever, but it's still so controversial, like incredibly controversial. And I realize it's not controversial because it's wrong. It's controversial because it challenges what people think love is supposed to look like. So with that said, let me bring my guest up. Listen, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I know I was telling you we got hit with this blizzard up here in NYC, so I've been snowed in all day, but I'm feeling good and looking forward to our conversation tonight.
Thank you so much for being here. In the middle of the blizzard, you showed up for me. I hope the power stays on throughout our conversation. But if it dips, then I still appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourself. I want to know. I know that you're a DJ, but I want to know. I want to know about that. I want to know about what else feeds your soul, and what else you're into. What pronouns do you use? Tell us what to call you, because I love the name Endless Summer. I want to hear about where that's from, but tell us what to call you, what your friends call you, because we're all friends here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Endless Summer. Also go by Shay for the people that, know me closely. My pronouns are she, her. And a little bit about myself, of course, like you said already, I'm a DJ. I'm also a community leader. You mentioned Mass Gent Bosses. I'm the Chief People Officer of Mass Gent Bosses. As far as Endless Summer, that's my stage name, my DJ
Where
name.
did that come from?
Where I yeah, where I got that from is I mentioned New York. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I have always had a love for music, as we all do, right? Music is a universal language, but for me, it I always wanted to DJ, right? And when I started DJing, I realized that, for me, it wasn't just about playing the music. I wanted to give people an experience. I'm all about the experience while I'm, playing the music. And I want to take people on a journey. So I still don't know how this or why this specific name came to mind, but I just thought about growing up in Brooklyn, thinking about block parties, thinking about broken fire hydrants and ice cream trucks and all the fun that we would have, when you're not in school during the summertime and you're just hanging around family and friends and just having a good time. And of course, that sadness that we used to feel when we would have to go back to school, in the
Right.
September, in the fall months. So yeah, I wanted people to have that experience while I'm DJing of just what my name is, Endless Summer, of the summer never ending, that nostalgia, that feel good energy. And I love playing older music. I love playing music from, for millennials and 80s and 70s. I love all of those eras more than the current era, so that's to me, that's why I chose that name for myself.
Man, I love it. I am personally connected to the summer. I'm a summer baby. And I love the summer. Like I just, like you said, like that, your name. I mean, first of all, no one's gonna forget that.
Right.
No one's gonna forget it. And I just love the meaning behind it. It just feels warm. So yeah, thanks again for being here. So, do you DJ full time or is it just a
Yes.
passion?
Yep.
Wow.
I'm a full-time DJ. Of course, it started off as just a passion. I actually kind of got my hands a little wet with it when I was in college. So like we're talking about 2009. And I was actually just playing music off a laptop in the dorm rooms for friends, like those dorm room parties. But I never had the courage to kind of seek advice from like the DJs that were on campus. And then, of course, life got in the way and I, got distracted by other things and never really kind of put my all into it. I also used to write and I used to rap. I had a music career as well, so the music has always been in me, to be honest.
That's too much talent. You got to pick one. You got to pick one. Listen, because
Exactly.
I've always wanted to learn how to DJ, and I'm like, I mean, I just think it's so cool. Like you control the whole vibe of the party. I mean, like you're in charge. I think that's so dope.
Yeah, listen, when you come to Dallas, like we could definitely link up. I'll put you behind the board. Let's get you started.
Hey, I would love a lesson. I would love a lesson. Like I'm a big music fan. I collect vinyls. I love old school music. I mean, I don't know how old you are. If you want to share that.
Oh yeah, I'm 34. I'll be 35
34.
this year.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So I got a good 10 years on you. And I listen, but like you said, that's the best era of music is behind us, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it's just good stuff. And I love that you turn your passion into what you do full time. And that's a goal of mine. I'm still working on that. But yeah, that's awesome. So thank you for again for being here in the blizzard. So how cold is it up there for real? Like
Well, right now I believe it's in the 20s. We've gotten some cold weather. Before this snow hit, it was like it was saying 2 degrees feels like -13. This was something that I haven't really experienced or seen in a very long time in New York. It's been cold, and we actually just finished recovering from the snowstorm, like I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago it was.
Right.
And now we got hit with a blizzard, and supposedly it's supposed to snow again on Wednesday. So I mean, hey, we dealing with it. It's New York, to be honest. It's the city that never sleeps. So even though we got power, the internet may mess up for a little bit,
Okay.
but we're not going nowhere.
Okay, cool. No problem. No problem. We're gonna get what we get. But yeah, like I was gonna say, like I just respect you coming in and sharing your story with us. I feel like people hear about polyamory and they just have all of these misconceptions. And it's when you put a face on something, it's much easier to like let go of some of those like negative stereotypes, etc. So yeah, so I want to know, what do you practice and what you call it, because there are so many different names and terms, and even in preparation for this talk tonight, I was looking up some stuff, and I'm like, these are terms I've never heard of. Like there's one called garden party polyamory. There's one called there's kitchen table. There's all these different things. So like, yeah, tell me what you call it.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are multiple types of polyamory, non-monogamy, and it depends on, how, you want to express yourself, how you want to do your thing. For myself, I just actually discovered maybe last month the term the gardening party, and that fits well with who I am, right? So before, I've known that I was kind of in between kitchen table and parallel, which is pretty much what the garden party is. And just to explain to anybody who doesn't know, so like I mentioned, there's different types. So there's like triads and quads, there's solo poly, there's hierarchical poly, right? Kitchen table is where the lives of everyone kind of intermingle, right? So think about everyone sitting together at a kitchen table, right? It's a family unit. You're raising children together, having meals together, all of these things. Parallel is where you have partners and they're not involved with each other at all, right? And this is why I said I am kind of in between, which is the garden party, where that is the relationships are separate, but you may be together on special occasions. For example, I may have however many partners, 2 partners, and they come together for, my birthday, or, for an event that I'm DJing, something like that. It's a special occasion. So yeah, for me, I define my style of poly as a garden party.
Yeah, like I think that's really interesting. Like I said, literally today was the first time I'd heard of it. I heard of kitchen table, but you were like, no, kitchen table is a little too close. It's a little too intimate. So we're gonna spread it out to the garden party. Okay, I really like that. So I want to talk about why polyamory is so controversial. First of all, we live in a Western society. And the focus is on, family and security, and we hear poly and we think, oh, that's threatening. That what we learn is the model family unit, right?
Yeah.
That's one reason. There are so many reasons why. What do you think is controversial?
There's different reasons. For me, anytime we go against society, it's controversial, right? Being a part of the LGBT community can be controversial because we're not heterosexual. Polyamory and non-monogamy is going against, what society teaches us to have one partner, get married, spend your life with them. It forces us to kind of look at things differently and also accept that, hey, not everyone is the same, right? I also think that it can be controversial, which it shouldn't actually be, but it's controversial within our community, right? Being queer, if you really kind of get down to the nitty gritty of things, is it can be very spiritual. We
Mm,
are um, we are in look at especially our ancestors and African ancestors, we are chosen spiritually because we're queer, right? And even when you look at African culture, you know, polyamory has been around for
this
centuries,
is not new.
you know.
This is not
Exactly.
new.
It's not new. It's not new at all. And we have a tendency within our community to kind of stick to the patriarchy, right? Stick to the American dream, the get married, have a dog, pick a fence, all of that, you know. So it becomes controversial when we go against what we were taught
Yeah.
since birth, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that a lot of queer people feel this pressure to mirror straight like monogamy, because you know they want we want people to see our relationships as stable and safe and like just like everybody else's. You know, so that's actually a really great point. We want to be seen as legitimate, and when you know we don't want to be sometimes too out there. Okay, we already gay. You know that's enough.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's a really great point. I want to talk about the big reason why a lot of people think that they could never, you know, have multiple relationships. Jealousy.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're taught that jealousy means that you care. If you're not possessive of your partner, then do you even really love them? So a relationship model like polyamory is just people can't wrap their mind around it, you know. But I think what polyamory teaches you is that jealousy is just it's just information. You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong. It's natural. So I want to shoot it back to you and tell me how you deal with that. How
Yeah,
you deal with jealousy
absolutely.
in your relationships? Yeah.
Yeah, jealousy is it's a human emotion, right? I think that there's also a uh misconception that people who live a poly lifestyle or who are non-monogamous don't get jealous. Like, oh, you must don't get jealous, but it's not true. Like I mentioned, it's a human feeling, right? And jealousy in some instances can be healthy, right? But that's what it's about. It's about the communication of it all. It is not easy for everyone, right? Jealousy, when taken to another point, of course, can be damaging, not just to your relationship, but, you know, for you as an individual. But for me, how I have navigated it has just been to have open communication. That is incredibly important to me. Communication is something that I live by. I say it all the time that I believe if, you know, we have effective communication, we can solve 98, probably 100% of the world's problems with communication, you know. And also honesty as well. Honesty is extremely important. That takes away a lot of the possible jealous situations that you can have in a non-monogamous situation. But again, you can't go into polyamory thinking that jealousy is not going to happen, because it will, you know, from something big to, well, you have another partner, to something small. Well, not, I can't even say small, it's big to some people, where it's like, well, hey, y'all, you know, I need to speak to you when you're on the phone with, you know, your other partner or whatever the case is. So it's it can be difficult at times. It's not for the weak. It's definitely not for
Yeah.
the weak. But
I
when you
mean,
learn how to manage it and you have that communication, it becomes easier for everyone involved.
yeah, I mean, would you say that communication is probably like one of the main tenets that you need, in any relationship, but especially in a poly situation. I think that a lot of people, want to use the term poly when they really just want to be messy, when they really just want to be out here, like, having multiple relationships, but, not realizing that, if you're a liar in a monogamous relationship, you're going to be a liar in a poly relationship. If you're a cheater in a monogamous relationship, you're going to be a cheater in a poly relationship. And so these issues that you need to work on, they're not just going to disappear because you have multiple partners and you can do whatever you want. In fact, it's going to just be reflected back to you, however many partners you have,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why I think people either look down upon polyamory or that is misunderstood, because you do have a lot of unethical people that call themselves polyamorous and or non-monogamous, and like you mentioned, they use it to as an excuse, to say, well, I'm going to be with multiple people, but they haven't done the work, right? There's a large amount of people that have actually done the work, like myself. You sit back and you realize why you're polyamorous, right? It's not just, oh, I would just want to be with multiple people. I just want to, have intercourse, with multiple people. It's more than that, right? For me, it's about connection and being able to, share the love that I have. I have a big heart, right? And share the love, and also just being able to say, like, hey, I can bring light into someone's life. A lot of people don't do that work, like you mentioned, it's just an excuse, right? But those are the people that do give it a bad name, and makes it hard for other people to kind of understand what it really means to be ethical and polyamorous.
Right. So let's backtrack a little bit, because I feel like I'm so interested. I jumped the gun and just started talking. But like, let's talk about how you first discovered that you're poly. Have you always known this? Has it always been something that you've been curious about, or is it recent?
Yeah, so I did not know what the name for my feelings were. I knew, even like in, would I say in my early 20s? I want to say even before that, even, yeah, early 20s. I realized, I had a situation where, I realized that I was in love with two women at the same time. And of course, we're kind of taught that that's not possible, and as I kind of ignored it and, just pushed it to the back of my mind. But as I got older, I realized, especially, I want to say I had a real awakening moment, kind of right after COVID, where everyone, we were all, going through things. And I really started to dig deeper within myself and actually start my healing process. I started to, get more involved with meditating and just really doing more work on the spiritual side for myself. At that time, I was in a relationship, and I realized that, I was always kind of told, like, hey, I've never met a person like you. I've never been with a person like you before. And, I've always been told that I'm different. And I began to process whether or not that was like a part of my calling, I should say. Like I was supposed to, or not was, but I am supposed to bring a light to certain women's lives. I look at myself as a healer. But I needed to learn how to balance, right? Because I'm an empath. So I needed to learn how to pour into others after I poured into myself, right? That was extremely important for me. I did that too many times in my life. And yeah, I believe that I'm a great leader, and I've been able to show certain women, what love could be and could look like, and and also being able to show them, like, yes, I have the ability to do this with more than one woman. I looked at it as a strength and a power, and just being a catalyst in someone's life. So I remember, with my last relationship, and I was actually engaged at the time. We were watching the L Word, and this was the newer version of the L Word, and one of the characters on there mentioned that she was poly, and I remember watching. I was like, wait, this is how I feel. I didn't know the name, or what the name of it was at the time. And yeah, it led to me kind of having a conversation with my partner at the time, which did not go too well. And yeah, did not go too well. It actually led to her kind of putting a title on a relationship. She said, okay, well, if you're poly, then I guess we're now in a consensual non-monogamous relationship. At the time, I'm just coming out. I don't know what that even meant at the time, right? I needed to do my own research and read my own literature, go through my own healing, so I felt kind of forced in that situation. And it didn't go well. But as time has went on, of course, I've been able to do my own research and continue to go through my healing work and find myself more. And yeah, just being able to kind of recognize, like, this is who you are. Exactly. Somebody just said it, like, yes, TV did not influence me. I was already poly. TV
Right.
just put a name to it, to what I
Right.
didn't know.
And I'm glad. I was gonna call out that same comment because I remember TV. I was like maybe 10. I had no idea. There was a name for what I was feeling. The fact that I liked other girls. My mom was watching Ricky Lake, and somebody was like, a guest on there was like, I'm a lesbian. I'm gay. And I remember running out of the room because I didn't want anybody to know. And I was like, oh my God, like that's what I am. Like that's it, And like it didn't make me, it didn't influence me, but it helped me put a name to what it was. So I think that's a really great point. Somebody, Pisces Tish, she asked, how do you? Let me go back. I'm sorry, I missed her question. She said, do you have a defined number of people that you're in a relationship with, and is there a limit to how many people?
No, to me, I don't know what that limit is. As I've been on my journey, I've been saying, like, two is enough, but you never know, right? Just like, we evolve, and like I was saying earlier, like, I thought I was kitchen table poly in parallel, and then I realized that there's a gardening. I Especially after speaking with other people who are non-monogamous, I realized, like, just like in life, we grow and we educate ourselves and we evolve, So, I think for right now, yeah, two is enough. Two is enough. But I never know. Like I mentioned, it's all about connection for me. I never know if I, will have two partners and then I meet someone else who, fits into my life as well. So yeah, I agree. I don't want to say your name wrong. I apologize, but it just sounds like your partner used the label to help empower and protect herself, and that's what I learned. Eventually down the road. I'm always great at, like, reflecting and taking accountability. I believe that me coming out as poly to her at that time, it was something that she wasn't comfortable with. It was shocking, as I can imagine, right? Me putting myself in her shoes. We're together at that time for maybe 4 or 5 years and engaged as well. And now the person that you're supposed to get married to is saying, hey, I am poly, and I want to, it's possible that I want to be with another person as well as you, so I definitely understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of your, maybe that relationship, I'm not sure. Did you face pushback with like friends? Do your friends and family even know, or like is this something that you share with auntie, or do they just think that if they meet multiple partners, do they just think that you're dating or friendly?
Yeah, I think that in that relationship, that was the only time where I did receive pushback that I can think of. My mom knows, my mom is like one of my best friends. I did tell her, and she was just like, okay. She was just like, what is that? But mom is going to be a mom. She's like, okay at first, but then, she understands. My mom has always been very supportive in what I do, even if she may not understand it. Eventually, she gets it. And I would say in my I want to say my previous situation where I how can I explain it? There was a point in time where, so after my relationship where I was engaged, I I guess because of the impact that coming out as poly had on that relationship, I kind of pushed it to the back of my mind. And when I talked to people after, a big learning lesson for me was that, I tried to kind of conform back into society, and I forgot who I was. And until I realized again, like, wait, what are you doing? Like, who you are. And you are trying to, stick with one woman when you know that that's not the case, so again,
You
I
see some
wouldn't say it was
shame there.
pushback, but yeah, exactly. Like I started to go back into that shell, and wasn't being, my authentic self, which is something that I preach highly now. Like, there's nothing else I want to do in life except for be my authentic self. I did
Absolutely.
see somebody say a question. Where did it go? Oh,
Uh,
are you open to your partner also having partners? Yeah, absolutely. That's a part of being poly. As I keep saying this whole time, it's about connections for me, right? And who would I be? I would not be myself if, you know, my partner said, hey, I met this person, and, I want to connect with them on this level. I don't believe that anybody is anybody's property at all, right? I want my partner or partners, whoever, to experience their best life just like I want them to want me to experience my best life, So if that means you connecting with someone on a level where it's like, hey, I like to go out and party with this person, because I'm not really a party. I'm a DJ, but I don't like parties, right? I don't like going to the
wow.
club. I don't
Okay.
like going to the club. I'm
That's so
chill. I
interesting.
give me a bar or a lounge. I don't like going to the club, right?
Understood.
And maybe they connect with someone on that level. There's couples that go out to the club all the time. And then with me, they have a different type of connection, whether it's music or reading, whatever that case is, So I'm definitely open to my partner having other partners as well. And I'm also open, to my partner just wanting to be with me as well. Listen, we only have one life. This one life that we live.
We're having some really great questions in the chat. I saw something earlier today where someone was saying it was a man. He was in a poly relationship, and he was like he helps his partners get ready for dates. And he also like when they get a text from someone and they smile, he smiles with them, and I was like,
Yeah,
whew. I felt the
yeah,
pain in my chest reading that because I was like, "Ooh, I don't know." So is that the kind of thing that you would do, like help your partners get ready for their dates?
yeah.
Or you're kind of like, I don't
That's
really
another
want to know.
level.
Yeah, that's another level. Yeah.
Yeah. I have not been in that situation yet to really tell you, but to be honest, I feel like that's something I would love to do, like already in a relationship, if my partner's asking me, hey, how does this look together? How does this shirt look with this dress or, these pants, whatever? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Like, I want to be, supportive the best way I can. Exactly. It takes a level of maturity, but also, just like, it's a certain type of happiness, right? Like when your partner smiles, you smile. When my partner tells me that they had a great day at work, or they tell me like, hey, I had a great conversation with somebody, it makes me happy. It makes me happy to see my partner happy. And yes, it can be tough for people. That's why I said there's levels to it, but it's okay that if you wanted to, experience polyamory for yourself, that's why there's different styles of poly, because not everybody will be, okay with that level of poly. That I would say that right there is definitely like either, well, I don't know. I can't. That could be parallel or a kitchen table, or there. But you have to be true to yourself and okay with what can come out of it. Because yeah, if you are going to be okay with your partner being poly, then that is something you're going to have to be okay with. They're going to be smiling at other people's texts.
Listen, I think, yeah, you could probably tell how I feel about that. I think underneath, the discomfort of polyamory for a lot of people is fear, like fear that you're gonna be, and my light just died. Hold on. Fear that you're gonna be replaced. Fear that
Yeah. Oh yes.
your partner's gonna like someone more than you, and that's difficult
Yes.
for people to adjust to, or think about, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's definitely conversations that I've had with partners before. And it's reassurance, these are human feelings. These are things that even monogamous people go through, just like when someone's in a relationship and they say, "Oh yeah, that's my work wife or my work husband." What do you mean your work wife or your work husband? Like
Yeah.
these are conversations, again, that communication part, that needs to be had. But I'm always into giving my partner reassurance and just letting them know, like, hey, you're not being replaced, right? My connection with you is completely separate than my connection with the other person.
Yeah, that reassurance is incredibly important. I'm someone who, in a monogamous relationship, reassurance is so important to me because it might not be someone you're dating. You might have a friend who you're very close to, and I'm like, what's going what's going on there? Hi, what's up, Lorraine? Yeah. Okay, she referred to part. Oh yeah, someone asked if you were still with that particular partner, but I think no. That's a no, right? Because you were engaged to them, you're no longer with
Yeah,
them.
I was talking about someone I was engaged with. Yeah.
Yeah. Anomaly said that's where the friendship aspect comes in because you should be happy for your partner. I mean, excuse me, you should be happy for your friend. That's a good point.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And there's another aspect of it that is kind of misconstrued as well, where people feel like, well, you're poly, and if you break up with, one partner, you'll be okay, right? Like you won't have any feelings towards it because you have another partner or you have other partners, whatever. So, and that's not true. A breakup is a breakup at the end of the day, right? So doesn't matter if you have one partner, three, 10, whatever the case is, right? You're still going to be affected by, the you breaking up that relationship that you had with that person. It's gonna affect you regardless. So it doesn't matter if you have another partner, you're losing something that you had with that person.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like someone wants to come up on the panel because they got a lot of questions. But before you come up, I'm gonna share something. There was a time in my life when I thought that I was poly. Not because I wanted to be out here with options. It's because, like you said, I felt very capable of loving more than one person at a time. There are many times and many relationships that I've had where I felt like, you know what, I might be in love with more than one person at a time. And your
Yeah.
story really, I connected with your story about telling your fiance at the time because something similar happened. I was also engaged, and I shared with my fiance at the time that I thought I was poly. Didn't go well.
Wow.
Did not, as you can imagine, it didn't go well. I tried to explore, polyamory, honestly. But what I learned is that being capable of loving multiple people and actually being ready for polyamory, two very different things.
Yeah.
I did a lot of research. I read many books. Not many. I read a few books. I talked to a lot of people. I did my research, and I just thought, I'm ready for this. And then I got into a situation where I was able to explore, and a lot of the issues that I'm still working on within myself came to the surface. Because that's what something like this will do. It will challenge you. And I learned that fear can push you towards monogamy. So I had the opportunity to be in a poly relationship, and I was like, nope, lock it down, lock it down, because I fell in love with this person, and although I felt like I could be in love and be in relationships with multiple people, I didn't want them to do it, right? And I'm almost ashamed to admit that, but I'm gonna tell y'all everything. I'm always gonna be open with
Yeah.
y'all. And it is what it is. And so I discovered very quickly. Excuse me for a second. Let me make sure that this is. I discovered very quickly that I am, in fact, probably not poly. I mean, maybe I'll explore it again in another time, because I think it's beautiful. Actually, I'm one of those people who thinks being able to not just love more than one person, because I feel like a lot of people have the capacity to do that. I
Yeah.
think the level of communication, the level of, like you said, the reassurance, I mean, it just takes so much to make these relationships work, and I just respect that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and to me, it sounds like you can do it. You can be poly, and it's okay to say, well, hey, I only want my partner to be with me. That's okay. I felt that way as well, because let's be honest here, it feels nice to have someone that only wants you, right? Like it's okay. It makes you feel it's a certain level of security, right? But in the other end, there's for me, it's like I have to be okay with it. I have to feel like, I can't tell my partner that they can't do it if so, and I've had that situation before. But listen, try it out.
Man,
And again, it's not for everybody, but yes, it does take a certain level of communication. Sometimes that can be tough. A lot of hard conversations at times, but also, that honesty and understanding as well. It's top notch. To be honest, it's top
I
notch.
mean, it really is top notch, and so I appreciate you saying that. You hyping me up with that, so I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind. So I'm still figuring out what love looks like for me. I'm still very much in a healing era, but I would be open to exploring it again. Yeah. So we'll see. Let's see. Let me go back to some questions.
You said opt it immediately out. Exactly.
Immediately. I was like, wait a minute. So you mean that you're gonna be talking to other people? No, I can't do it. But
Yeah.
that's because I was still in a place where I was not healthy. Therapy has helped me a lot. When you identify that you can love multiple people, is that love always meant to be romantic?
Mm, that's a good
Um,
question.
yeah.
Hmm. I guess I mean it depends, right? Like yes, there are different levels of love, and yes, not all the time loving someone means, in a romantic way. Um I learned that actually. Loving someone but realizing like, it wouldn't have worked romantically in that way. And again, that's why I talk about the connections, right? Because you can have a relationship with someone and you guys not be romantic, or you guys not have intimate relations with each other, right? I think I forgot the terminology for that, but there are people who are, somebody can put it in the chat for me. There are people who identify as those who, are not sexually attracted to people, right?
You
So,
were
and
talking
doesn't mean you
about
have to share.
asexual people?
That's what I was thinking about. I thought that was that, but I don't know. Um,
But in this
it
space,
doesn't mean.
we're talking about actually loving someone else, being in love with multiple people like that, and that means like sexually, romantically, all the things.
Yeah, exactly. And she said, doesn't mean you have to share physical intimacy. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm referring to. Realizing that, hey, this person is great and we connect on a different level, but maybe the physical intimacy is not there. And this is still someone that you can be in a relationship with, as long as you two are on the same level. That's the thing. That have the same understanding. Like, hey, we both understand that we are not being physically intimate with each other, but we share other things. You can connect with someone on a spiritual level, right? And that does not equal a physical connection.
100%. I want
I
to
hope
ask
that
the
answered your
chat.
question.
Yeah, I think that was a great answer. I want to ask the chat. Are there people in here who are in poly relationships or have been in the past? Like, what's your experience been? Because yeah, I'm still very very curious about it. I think for me, I wasn't afraid of polyamory. I was afraid of being replaced. I was afraid that if I quote unquote allowed my partner to go out there and meet other people and like develop relationships with other people, like how do I know they're gonna come back? You know? And that's at the end of the day, that's insecurity. Um, okay, all right. My moderator E, she said she's tried poly before. What's the difference between a friendship and non-intimate relationship with for you? It's not the same thing. I'm in a poly relationship. She's poly. I'm monogamous. Listen, you need to come up and talk to us. I know I have a friend who is polyamorous, and she's actually married to a monogamous person, and I'm like, how how does that work? Can you imagine a situation like that, or would you ever be in a situation like? Well, I guess you have been, right? You said that you're.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
J
think
Rap
that's
is
the
like
same
a
thing, the
consider it
difference
but never
between a
commit. Mhm.
friendship and a not. I think that was just kind of the same question, I think, right? The difference between a friendship and a non-intimate relationship for you, and honestly, for me, like at least right now, right? I can only speak for myself in the present moment. I can't really see myself being with anyone in a relationship that I am not intimate with. To be honest, it's one of my love languages, right? Like I'm a physical touch person, and I that's also one of the ways that I express my love. So I can't necessarily see myself being in a relationship with someone I'm not intimate with.
Yeah.
I'm also I hate to say this because I don't want to get into the zodiac sign thing, but I'm also a Scorpio. So
Oh God.
it
Jesus
it
Christ.
it comes natural. It's with the nature, But Aaron, you got beef with Scorpios? Come on.
1000%. 1000%. Never again. Just kidding.
No,
Love you guys.
no,
Yeah, love. No, no, no.
no.
We're gonna be friends. We are friends, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I had two failed relationships with Scorpios back to back, so
Wow.
maybe it's not a thing for me. I don't know.
What's your sign, Aaron?
I'm a Leo. I'm a Leo.
Oh, yeah. The one time I had a relationship with a Leo, they lied a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah. Making
But
us
yeah,
look
I'm
bad.
not exactly. I'm not a person that, kind of goes into the whole zodiac thing. I think that we all have characteristics of each other, to be honest. To me, what's more important is if you're on your healing journey, to be honest, you
Yep.
could be the greatest, Leo or Scorpio in the world, but how are you? Where are you right now on your healing journey? And, how do you communicate? Are you honest? How do you talk to people? Those are the things that I care about. She said, I do in numerology. Yeah, I mean, y'all probably can tell me a lot about some things, but I don't, I can't, I'm never was the type to be like, oh, you're a Leo. Oh no, I can't do those. I
Yeah.
give everybody a chance.
Yeah, I used to be the same way, and then I had like two, like I said, two back-to-back relationships with Scorpios, and I was like, "Well, does that mean Scorpio? I need to stay away from them?" She said, "Do I need to borrow the holy water?" Yeah, send it, please. Send it. I'll take it. I'll try anything at this point. But you know what? I want to bring it back to, because this show is all about like mask identity and, how we see the world and queer,
Yeah.
perspectives. So like from that perspective, right? I think one, people think that we are not, a lot of times we're not capable of not being jealous. They're like, oh well. The other misconception is we always, if there's a poly situation or open relationship, that we started it because we
Oh
wanted
yeah.
all these other people, so there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to us in every situation. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, a good portion of that is true. I actually saw something earlier where a femme had mentioned like the toxic masculinity of a stud saying, seeing two femmes together and like, oh, are y'all poly? Like just trying to insert themselves into the situation. It's unfortunate, right? The only thing I say is that like I just want people to have an open mind and just know that we're not a monolith, we're all different. It's yeah, you have a lot of us that are still living in certain and still practicing toxic masculinity. But then you also have a lot of us like yourself, like masculine bosses who are doing the healing work, who are not only trying to be better for themselves, but also better partners, trying to, treat our femme counterparts the way that we believe they should be treated, and also living authentically ourselves, So that's the only thing I ask of everybody. Like, just like we just had the conversation. Listen, I said I'm a Scorpio. Doesn't mean I'm like the other Scorpios that y'all know. I don't know what y'all know or what y'all feel about Scorpio, whatever. But hey, listen, like, I can only be me. I can only be Shay. I can only be Endless Summer. I may have those characteristics. But yeah, just we have to have, I feel, open minds, and never judge a book by its cover. We learned that from kindergarten.
100%, 100%. I'm glad you came up, Jay Rabbit, because you had said something in the chat. You said that you've been curious about poly relationships, but you've never been in one. Is that,
Yes,
did I get that?
that's
Okay.
true.
All right. First of all, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming up.
Thank
Why
you
do you
for
think you
having
haven't
me.
ventured into it yet?
Well, I haven't met the right people. I
Yeah.
would say that. I've done a lot of soul searching and all those other things that was similar to your story, where I felt like, okay, you know what, I am capable of being with multiple people, I believe, and I do. Like I've had the like my ex-wife and I, we went to, we considered having a girlfriend, things like that. And I love the dynamic in those relationships where it either makes or break it, when you bring in someone else. And I love the honesty. I love the transparency. I just the connection. I love all of that. I just haven't connected with anyone or any two people. Um, I just haven't. I've done situationships and I've proposed it to one or two people, but it just never went there. So I figured, with the right dynamic, I feel like I could,
Okay.
but I'm just open to it.
Got you. Well, let me ask, and the summer. So let me ask you, Shay. So, how do you meet other poly people? Do you go on apps or like how do you meet them?
Um, to be honest, I know that there are apps that cater to non-monogamy, but I've had I've had enough of the apps in my life. So I don't, to be honest, I don't go searching. I just let it flow. Like, I make sure that I'm honest about it. And, in turn, it has led me to meeting people who are poly, or non-monogamous. And, hey, if it works into something, then, I let it be. But also, just learning things from other people, like even me being a part of Master and Bosses, I did not know that there was so many of, the bosses within our community that were polyamorous. I didn't know
Really?
that. Right. So
Really?
it's just, I feel like when put that energy out there, it comes back, right? Just like you put out positivity, it comes back to you, but I haven't, I would say, try to even go to like events. Someone said like the events and forums. I've found that each time that I've tried to maybe go to events or join groups or whatever, it's not for our community. It's very heterosexual, and that's not something that I want to be a part of, right? Because to be honest, men can be creeps, right? And we know this, and I don't want any parts of that, So I haven't really found a community where it's just us. Even I remember not too long ago, I tapped into someone's live who said like, yeah, this is, poly for lesbians. And then they had a man on a panel and I was like, what is this? So,
Oh,
I haven't found that, but honestly, I just let it flow. I don't want to force anything. I never want to force anything in life. I just want it to happen naturally.
Pisces Tish said you should start one. Hear me out. We're in Dallas. It's all of the mass gent bosses. We got a whole poly situation going on. Just kidding. I'm just
No, I think there are. I know a group. I'm not going to say the name of it,
mm,
but I was familiar with a group. It's a ladies group, and it was they were an amazing group of women. They were very open-minded, with all types of not just polyamory, but just lifestyles. And you really talked about the differences, and not just that, but in like, I don't want to get you banned, but just different things.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it was a safe space. You had to sign an NDA in order to be a part of the group, things like that. So in that group, we really that was like the dopest group I was a part of, because everyone was so open and transparent, and you had a lot of professionals in that group, and people were able to just live and speak their truth without judgment. And that's where I was like, I like this. I like the dynamic. I like the energy. I like the respect, that was there. So it was pretty dope.
So, J Rabbit, let me ask you, do you have any idea of what type of poly you'd be interested in? We talked about all the different types of poly amory there is, like the kitchen table and the garden party, and there's one called Hinge, right? Where there's like one person in the center, and then there's so many different types. Like my head is
It's a
spinning.
lot.
But like, do you have any idea what you would be interested in, or?
If I were to looking at it now, okay, so I'm gonna say it this way. I like having my person. You know what I mean? I love having my person. That is dope to me. So I would do it one of two ways. I would either me and my person, and then we'd have, a little razzle dazzle on occasions, you know what I'm saying? Just to keep things spicy because, yeah. Or it would be two permanent people. So it would be the three of us where we would have a three-way relate, me and two other women where we would have, we would equally share amongst the three of us. I would do it that way. But I like commitment, I like stability, I like, like that, being able to share your day. I love all those things. So that other person would be able to come in and entertain us and or they'd be a part of it.
Okay, but let me ask. So okay, in that instance, like, what's it? Because that sounds almost like more of a open relationship. Like, what's the difference between poly and open relationship? Like, open relationship is y'all just going out and having fun versus like actually having a relationship with these people, these outside people, or.
Well, back in the day, it was more like swingers, right?
Mhm.
Now, I would prefer because it's just so much stuff going out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would prefer to have a permanent third. You know what I mean? If that was what we were going to do, then that's what we're going to do because I like the emotional connection as well. So, but I'm also I'm really a free spirit in that way. So I'm not into what I mean, as long as it's a woman, my preference, is women. But I'm whatever my partner wants to do, I'm kind of down.
Okay.
So
All right, you're
yeah.
open. You're open for it all. Like, well, that's the question in the chat. Are people poly, or are they swingers, or are they looking for open relationships? See, that's where the controversy comes in. I'm gonna let you take that one in the summer.
I'm laughing because they said open ships. That's funny. I like that word, open ships.
I'm taking that one too now. Thank you.
Yeah. Elsa. Yeah, Elsa said it perfectly. Poly is the umbrella term, and then you have all these other
Yeah.
terms underneath. So like open relationship would be under poly, right? Open relationship, from my understanding, is right one relationship, and then you guys casually have relations with other people, where you have again all of these other different styles of polyamory, and these are kind of looked at more as relationships, I would say, and I hope I'm defining that right, where a lot of times an open relationship kind of involves just the intimate part, right, the physical part of the relationship,
Yeah.
where poly is actual relationships and connections. I hope I'm explaining that right.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Let me talk to my other panelists. Banana Coffee, I haven't talked to you in a minute. What's going on? And E, my moderator, what y'all got to say and lend to this conversation?
Good evening, loves. It has been a minute since I've been up in your live. I hope you've been well. I hope
Welcome
everybody
back.
else
Yes.
is well. Hello, panel. How y'all doing? Hello, chat. I personally have been polyamorous, solo poly for I'm 40, so over 20 years. I've been married. I've had multiple polyamorous relationships. They were not triads, they were partner specific, but we had like side chicks. But we wouldn't date. We would date separately. I'm not into the whole let's share and Let's have a, I mean, I've had threesomes, but that's just for fun. If it's going to be a relationship, I would like to have my own personal relationship with my partner outside of this, and you have your own personal relationship outside of this. And then we would have rules like certain days were specific for side chicks and certain days were specific for your main partner. It's very much so user based and user friendly. Like there's not just one defined term or two defined terms. It's very much, and it's evolved so much over the years as well. I don't know if you guys have ever read this book. It's called The Ethical Slut. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite. Yeah, you know. So
I,
you guys should. She has a whole series. If you're interested in becoming poly or just a little more settled in
whole
the
series.
human emotions. Yeah, there's more
Oh,
than one. Yeah,
okay. I
she
only
wrote.
read the first one. Okay.
Yeah, she wrote a few.
Yeah.
But yeah, polyamory is just free love, by definition. And it's supposed to be, again, ethical. Lots of people, when it comes to like swingers and no offense to swingers, but when it comes to swingers and open ships, which I'm also going to steal, whoever said that, that was fire. There can be a lot of dishonesty. And then in my experience, there are a lot of people that are trying to transition into poly without realizing that normal human emotions are still going to be there. Just because you decide to open up your relationship, you got a bitch and your bitch got a bitch, that don't mean you're not going to get jealous. You know what I mean? But you have to, it's about how you react
Tell me,
with
tell
the
me about your
jealousy.
experience with jealousy and how do you handle that?
Just being honest, just trying to be transparent, trying to be vulnerable with myself, giving myself grace, giving my partners grace, and also making mistakes. I mean, it's like when you're in the kitchen, you're making a new recipe, you're probably gonna break some eggs. So you just have to be kind to yourself, you have to be gracious to your partner, and you have to be honest, you have to be open. And you also, so I've been in situations where my partner thought that they were poly because I've always been the poly one. So some people come in and they're like, genuinely, they want to try poly and then they realize that they can't, but now they're in love. So they want to try to keep me. Or we're in love. And I'm thinking that, maybe it can work out. But if you're lying, if either partner is lying to each other, it's not going to work, whether you're in a poly relationship or whether you're not. I've
Right.
had people be dishonest with me when they could fuck other bitches, excuse my language. Do you know how insane that is? Like you're cheating and you're free.
Yeah,
How
we
does that
talked.
make any sense?
We said that earlier. If you're a cheater, you're gonna be a cheater,
Yeah,
regardless.
because
What
it's
type of
about
relationship.
it's about you just being honest. It's not even about you. Excuse my language. I keep using profanity. I had a drink, but it's not even just about you fucking other bitches. It's about you fucking over your partner and stealing their choice. That's what it's about. That's what cheating is to me. It's not just about getting some different pussy. It's about you stealing the choice that your partner is supposed to have to decide if they want to stick around.
100%. So let me throw a scenario out there, right? So and all of my panelists can answer this, but like you are at home, your partner has a date, they go out and they have a good time on the date. You're feeling some jealousy while they're out. How do you handle that? Do you, when they get back home, they're on a high from this amazing date that they had, do you share, what, while you were gone, I felt some jealousy. How does that, how would you have that conversation with them? Because you said, y'all talked about like being honest and sharing that, but how would you share that while they're on the high from this date and you want to kind of like, well, actually, I felt some things while you were gone.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else wanted to jump in. But yeah, it's again, it's about. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Mhm.
No, 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 go ahead. But I'm just saying I could relate to that one. Where I've been
Yeah, tell
jealous.
us. Tell us.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Like, they were very open and told me that, oh, man, well, let me say this. I was the third person. Like, so, I really didn't like being the third person, being like chosen by two main people.
Okay.
It was hard because either way it goes, it was them two, and then I've always felt like it was versus me, So I'm like, man, I can't. So like I had to put my feelings aside and be like, okay, damn. But then she felt like she didn't have time for me and she didn't know how to juggle. And
Mm.
I couldn't do it. I was like, yeah, if you
She's
can't
in a
figure
poly
it
relationship
out,
and she doesn't know how to juggle. She doesn't know how to split her time.
she so
See,
it's weird. It was weird in a sense because she started having more feelings for me than the main person. And that's where it got a little touchy, and
Yeah.
Hmm.
I could.
Were they already a couple
Yep,
and then
already
you
a couple.
entered
Yep.
into?
So you guys were in a
Okay.
triad, like they were
Yep.
the
Yeah.
main couple, and you were the third.
Yep.
Did you guys live
Yep.
together?
No, I'm glad.
Gotcha. Was that your
Cause like,
first poly experience? Sorry, I have like so many questions. Was that your first poly experience?
no, not really. But it was the one that I actually was intimate first.
Gotcha.
So it was different in a way of like I actually grew feelings intimately first, and then the physical came after. So my little sensitive butt was all over
You
the
was in your
place.
feelings.
Yeah, I was in it. Like I was like, wait a minute, hold up. And then it's weird. It also made it weird because I can relate. I'm a part of the Orisha culture, and they definitely do poly
Okay.
in the culture. So like you get each other on a spiritual sense. And then not only a spiritual sense, but an intimate sense too. And then the physical kind of comes third, So it's like really just trying to juggle all three.
Okay.
And sometimes it's hard, and then sometimes it's like you got to talk to yourself like, okay, spiritually, the energy is beautiful. Intimately is beautiful too, but then you're still a human too.
Well,
So
that's a
it's
great
hard.
segue into the
Yes.
question that was just put in the chat. How do you ever feel truly emotionally and spiritually safe in these dynamics?
It's weird because even outside of the physical, like, oh man, even to this day, she's a beautiful soul. Like she gets me spiritually. Like she would be my person, but I'm not. In my mind, I'm like, damn, she technically didn't choose me first. So it's weird. It's weird. So for me, I could say for me, because my ass is sensitive, and I know I'm sensitive. So
How could she
in
choose you first if
retrospect,
you came after, though? I'm sorry, that just
I
confused me.
know it is. No, no, no,
That's
no,
like
no.
an
I feel you.
unfair.
It is very unfair. It is, and I agree with that. So, like, I guess where you know, I guess one time she told me, she was like, "Man, if I could do it all over again, I would choose you first, and then choose the other." And I'm like, "Well, can't have it both ways, You either,
Okay.
So
But
it was
is that
in
not
that
what
retrospect, it was hard.
is that not what that's what I think people are, at least from my perspective, people are always confused about this hierarchy when it's just free
That's what I was
love.
gonna say.
It's not
I
Okay.
about a
agree.
hierarchy about who
So
comes
in some
first, who
poly
comes second,
relationships, there
who
are the
comes.
hierarchy, right? There is the hierarchy,
It
but
is. It is.
Sure, but you guys
It
were in a triad. A triad essentially just
Yes.
X's all that out.
Yes.
yeah.
And then I guess when we got really deep, she was putting the hierarchy, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. You gotta wait a minute. And that's when it got a little like tough. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna back up. You do your thing. I'm gonna just ease out of it, because I mean,
Yeah.
and the
And
crazy
it's
part is, even now we're friends. But I told her until she gets her mental together of how she wants to deal with me and her main partner, like, but I'm not gonna wait. I can tell you that.
Well, that's good.
Okay.
That's really that you didn't make yourself smaller. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Or you stopped,
Yeah.
rather.
Well, I
And I
want
can say it's also not, it wasn't, it's also not okay for her to say, well, if I could do this over again, I would choose you, because that puts you in a bad situation.
Yeah.
That puts her other partner in a bad situation,
Yep.
even herself, So I
Right.
can tell by what you're saying, like, yeah, it was a difficult situation for her to juggle all of the moving pieces. Those are
Yeah.
things that you don't want to say to
It
someone when
sounds
you're in a bad
manipulative.
situation.
It's
Thank
Yeah,
you
like
for
Very
saying that
much. Yeah.
because
it's
that
No, no,
was my
giving
no.
concern.
like
Yes. Yes.
it's like, is you
I
cool,
when I
shorty?
tell you I had
You
to
know, like
write, like I had to back up. I was like, yo, this ain't it. You
but
can't,
that's what gives
and
Polly a bad name. Like, you know what I
yep.
mean? That's what gives Polly this false sort of. Anyway, I've been yapping, but you'll get what
It's
I'm
false
saying.
hope. No, for real.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Shoot.
it is, and I can say
It's
someone that hasn't done it, but I've considered it, and I'm an open book. I'm very transparent. I let people go back to the original question. If I'm uncomfortable about something, I'm going to let you know before, after, during, whatever. My intention is always good. It's not to bring anybody down or whatever, but I am going to be transparent and give you your choice. Whatever. I'm going to let you know how I feel, and you can make your decision, and I'm going to make my decision.
Okay, when you
But
say the
I don't,
original question, are you talking about the if your partner is on a date, how you if are you
right.
okay?
Right. But
Oh yeah, we didn't
when
answer
you
that
get
question.
into those
oh, we did.
dynamics, like what she was saying, if she came in as the third and I don't know you, so I'm just listening, but it sounds like okay, you came in, things were neutral, and the dynamic kind of shifted because that comment isn't honoring the space.
That part.
So then it kind of gives conflicting messages, and then you're already
Hmm.
emotionally vested,
And
and now it's
spiritually.
kind of muddying the water, and
Yes,
that's
Yep.
and it
Yeah.
do
All for
you
their
know
benefit, seemingly, not for your benefit. Not their, I
that
meant the
part?
person.
Yeah,
I don't know their pronouns, but
and the crazy part is spiritually, like we get each other. It's wild. Like I'd be like, bro, if I could like pin you on the wall right now, it'd be dope. But I
Not pin
can't.
you
Like
on the
it's
wall.
well, spiritually. No. Spiritually. It was just. It was beautiful, and intimately, it was beautiful.
But
But
you could have that type of connection
it's
with someone and it still not work out in any type of
yep,
relationship, right? Because you got to figure
yep.
out the other parts of it too, the communication, the all of it has to go together.
Like I agree. Communication to me, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped because I like flat out and told her I said I can't do this. Like if you're not gonna you know communicate and tell me what's going on, how you feel, and you can't juggle or have time for me and then also have time for them, then like you know, that's not on me. That's on you.
Yeah,
and
And
why are you not telling
transparency
your
does go a
shorty
long way.
this? Why are you not telling? Why
Huh?
you not? Why wasn't she telling her
Oh,
person this?
I can't answer. I can't answer that.
oh, I was
I
going
That's
to
something
ask
mean,
that
that
I was
question. Did
thinking.
she
I can
me,
know?
tell that
me,
she's
Like shorty just
I
okay
can't
with
y'all
y'all
are
having
different
a
like
people.
triad, and she
like
like nah, but I
Yeah.
really want you. That's wild.
yeah.
Hmm.
It
It
was
doesn't sound
no.
like
It wasn't to. That's why I had to like back up. I was like, yeah, no, this ain't it.
yeah,
Sorry,
it doesn't sound like it was
not
it. So
sorry.
I want to say one more thing before I bring on my other panelists to ask her questions because she has a lot of questions. She has a lot of questions. Elsa in the chat said something that I really liked. She said that because going back to the question of how do you tell your partner after they are experiencing the high of this amazing time that they have with somebody else that you were feeling some type of jealousy. That's an insecurity of mine because I don't want to say anything because I don't want to bring you down after you had this amazing time. She said that she had scheduled days where they would check in and have a talk, and then you would bring that up during that conversation and not any other time. I thought that was really, really a great idea. Again, that goes back to the communication that's so important too. All right, so
I
come
would like
on.
to jump in with because in
Sure.
even though it's not that is a conversation style, that is something I've always done in
Hmm.
past relations. Even with my daughter, she's grown. It's like, okay, you have state of the unions, we got state of the house. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going on. But I think it's really important, and I've done a therapy is my friend. I think it's really important to create a space when you're feeling some kind of way, to not feel like you have to swallow it, and you can come to your person with love and vulnerability, and know that they want to make sure your needs are met. So in that dynamic, I always try to create a space where, regardless of what it is, please come and tell me. I don't ever want you to swallow anything, and then we can figure it out from there.
Right. But isn't there like a time and a place for everything too, though? Because like you might not want to like don't hide it, don't stuff it down. But like, is this the moment to tell me when I'm
It's
like,
always the moment, because you're gonna feel it anyway. You're gonna
But it
see it. I'm
depends
sitting here
though.
bouncing around and you mean mugging, and I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm good.
I
Nah,
feel
man.
like it
Let's just go ahead and nip this in the bud and call it a day.
okay, I
I
know
feel
I
like it
appreciate
depends on
that.
like your apology language too. Like your apology language, your communication style. I feel like it depends very heavily because sometimes I don't want to talk right in the moment because I might say something that is going to come across the wrong way. So we would just have like a board or a notebook that we would use and we would write to each
Ooh, I
other, "Hey,
love
I
those
want to talk to
too.
you. Like I would like to talk to you about something that's been on my mind during our allotted time." The notebook was my favorite because I'm a writer. So
I
we would
love
just write
that.
in the notebook and then we would check the notebook each time. So there's no pressure. You just go check the notebook. So if you're to piggyback off of Jay Rabbit, if you're sensing energy from your partner, be it romantic, familial, be it friendship, whatever, you go check the notebook and then like you can prepare yourself. Like, okay, we're gonna have a chat about this instead of it just coming out and feeling maybe a bit overwhelming. I know sometimes I can, but again, it's user based.
Yeah, we have another writer on the panel. Did you wanna ask your questions now? And you had a lot of questions in the chat.
Hello, everybody. Hang on. Are you talking about me?
I'm talking to you. I'm talking about you.
Um, yeah, sure. I think I've asked most of my questions in the chat, and I think um, that they have been addressed to the extent that people are able to speak to the issues. Um, so I guess just a question about this last bit of the conversation. I think it's curious that, you're saying have a lot of times to have these conversations or have a notebook to jot things down, or it's always the moment to share your feelings. That's lovely. And to what end, if this is not going to lead to changed behavior? I mean, if this is the style that you have chosen, so is the point to have the conversation, and then the person who is not being fed exit stage left, or is it the point to have the conversation to recognize that these are points of tension that you're going to live with in whatever dynamic it is that you have chosen?
Yeah, I definitely don't agree that it's always the time to talk. Timing is everything, and it's something that I had to learn in my relationships. And it does depend on the person. I think Banana said it, like it depends on their communication style, right? We do not all communicate the same. For some of us, it's easier to communicate than others, right? Some people like to talk in person, and some people like to text, right? Some people like to talk on the phone. I don't think that it's always, I do believe that timing is everything when it comes to having a conversation, so, but it's about knowing your partner. If you guys have developed the dynamic where it's okay to talk about things at certain times, then, that's great. But also, you may have a partner where it's like, listen, like some people can be easily, triggered is not the word, but if they just had a good time on their date and then you're coming at them with, like, hey, I was feeling a way about things, it can take away the good time that they had. It could take away their mood. And so you have to determine whether, your partner is the kind of person that won't internalize it a certain way. You have to determine who you are, right, as their partner. Like, okay, even when I come to them about this, Am I going to make sure that my tone is correct? Am I also, this is something that I've practiced in a relationship as well, asking them simply like, hey, can you hold space for me? Is this a great time
Oh my
Mhm.
right
God,
now to
yes,
have this
yes. I'm so sorry.
conversation?
Yes, fucking yes. Good Lord,
Yeah.
yes. Whew.
Yes, you have to
Amen.
ask these things. This boundaries is another thing that we didn't talk about, but it's so important when it comes to poly situations. This is something that should be talked about in any situation, but boundaries are important because it's a lot to just unpack your feelings, on your partner. Just like you have a horrible day at work and you come home and you want to speak to your partner about it, but what if they had a horrible day too and they don't want to talk about work at all? They're home, they're with you, they don't want to talk about work at all. They just want to be in your presence. So timing is absolutely everything. I've already said it. I'm a firm believer in, yes, let's communicate, right? And I'm also someone that can adjust to the type of communication that my partner, I've been with people that for whatever reason, it was easier for them to express their feelings to me over text, and I was like, okay, well, if you need to write your words down, whether it's a piece of paper or a text, then I'm okay with that, but you also have to be okay with me communicating face to face in the way that I do, so but yes, timing is very important when it comes to situations like that and communicating.
Let me ask this question because, and I agree with everything you just said. Okay. But let's take it, let's go before the date. If when you meet someone or when I'm dating and I'm getting to know people, even friends, like you say, you have boundaries, you have expectations, you have conversations. So since you have been in poly relationships, are they, when I, had the dynamic with my ex-wife, we had rules on,
Yeah.
hey, if I'm uncomfortable with anything, you could say no, and that's it, that's all. And that was established before it happened. So that way, when something did happen, we were already prepared in what the expectation was. So is that something that those of you that have done it, have you established those things on the front end so that way no one is taken aback, because that's the way I would do it. So is that how it normally happens? Because that was my assumption.
I would say yes. That's what's called ethical polyamory, and versus
Yeah.
when people are just out here for themselves. But those ethics should come with any relationship, not just romantic or physically intimate relationships, in my opinion. So yeah, guidelines are necessary, rules are necessary, boundaries are necessary, and those evolve over time. You can be with somebody for
Yes.
1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and you might get jealous of something that you didn't get before, or you might stop being. You might want to switch up the dynamic of you guys' relationship. You guys might have started separately dating, and then you might want to bring a shorty home. You have to have constant communication, constant open communication.
We talked
That's it.
about, right. We Elsa, she put a book in the chat that everyone should read. I'm sorry, I lost it. If you can put that back in, if you're interested in polydynamics, I've read Ethical Slut, and then also there's a poly coach, black woman. Her name is Kenya Stevens. She has this book called Up Level that I read, and it's not specifically about polydynamics. It's about just relationship, like communicating in relationships. And it's about how you talked about, Shay, about like asking your partner first and foremost, like, can you hold space for this conversation right now? And it just goes into like, I really liked what she talked about in how to communicate effectively with your partner and how to have these conversations. And like I said, I think it's important in any relationship. But let me ask you, if you've been in a poly relationship, how do you feel about contracts in your relationship? Is that something that you guys have done? Relationship contracts?
Contracts. I've never done that before. I
No.
don't. What's in this contract?
We've had written agreements before, but we didn't like we got them notarized, but we didn't take them to a
Ooh,
lawyer.
wow.
Yeah, we
Well,
definitely
I
got them
mean,
I'm
like,
notarized.
interested.
yeah, I mean, it's just a contract between you two of like, okay, this is what I want this relationship to look like, especially if we bring in other people in,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, if you break one of because it can get very dangerous. Lots of people my biggest rule is testing. And if you don't get tested and if you don't get shorty tested, we're going to have a problem, a legal problem. So that's why I wanted to get. And then like in my marriage, we combined our businesses. I have my own small business. She was working for a large company, and we combined our businesses together. So we were doing our taxes together. So yeah, we had to have a lot of written written things. And when she didn't get her shorty tested and I ended up catching her, I was compensated for it.
Oh,
Once we broke
damn.
up.
Great job.
Wow.
Yeah, no, because you put my life in danger, or you could have.
Right.
Wait a
That's
minute.
right.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about that story?
So without going into too many details,
Yeah.
because-
Share what you feel comfortable with.
Yes. So basically, like I said, we would have rules. A certain day was for shorties, and a certain day was for us. Our day was Sunday. The shorties' day was Friday. We had to be honest before, like Jay Rabbit said, we had to be honest before we decided we wanted to screw somebody or date somebody or even be intimate. So if I meet a girl in a grocery store, a person in a grocery store, and I want to date them, or I think I might, I gotta text my shorty, be like, man, I just bumped into this shorty, it might go somewhere. These are our rules. That was one of our rules. Then if it goes further than that, you get her number. I need to know every step of the way. My partner's rules were they only wanted to know when we was gonna fuck. So our contract's different on that end. Do you understand what I'm saying? Some people want all the information. Some people only want a little bit. Anyway, fast forward to me being on dating apps, and she's dating a bit more frequently. We were together for like almost 4 years. We got married, blah, blah, blah. I matched with her shorty that she lied about.
Wow.
She lied about dating her. She lied about screwing her. She lied about all these things. So we set her up, met her at their little local bar, which was our bar, the bar that I had introduced her to, caught her. And again, in a divorce settlement, I got compensated.
I love that. I love accountability. I really do.
And don't get me wrong, I've made mistakes of my own, but not against the contract. Like, that's crazy. I'm still a person, so of course I've made mistakes. But if I agree to a rule that we've written, and I mean went taken as far to pay $5 at Chase, why would I be breaking it? That doesn't make any sense to me. And why would I want to steal somebody else's choice? I just feel like that's so callous and selfish. Personally.
That is exactly the point. What you said earlier, that makes so much sense, and I agree with you. It's like, don't take away my choice.
Yeah,
just tell me what it is, because that's being deceitful. It's not about the intimacy, it's about the trust.
Exactly, because you don't want me to choose, because you probably already know what I'm going to choose, and that means that we shouldn't be together anyway. If I'm not making the choices that you would like, we shouldn't be together. And guess what? That's okay. People be so focused on, oh, things didn't work out, screw them. No, baby, it's just misalignment, and it's okay. Move around, find who's aligned for you, little mama. It's okay.
So Banana Coffee, are you in a relationship or relationships right now?
I am solo poly at the moment. I just got out of a 2-year relationship, so I'm just vibing. Well, not just. It's probably been like almost a year. But I don't like to rush, even though I'm poly. People think that too. People think just because you're poly that you just be out here getting hoes. Like, no, I'm still just me. I'm still just me. I'm still gonna get. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever had any monogamous person ask me about getting tested. And I know I'm beating a dead horse, but that's important. That's so important to me.
Okay, is the panel single? So that's the question in the chat. Banana Coffee just answered. She's doing solo poly right now.
I'm single.
I'm single. Yes.
You sure you single? Just kidding. That's my homie, guys.
Me?
I don't think
I like her.
I don't think everybody answered. But listen, I think it's important what you said about, like, it's important to be honest, and that's in any relationship. And people get into these situations and they don't know how to be honest. Like, you have a relationship style where you could actually meet other people, sleep with other people, and you still hiding things. You still not being honest. Like, what's going on with that?
I feel like that type of thing is like a core issue. That's not just because of open relationship or any sort of relationship, because why would you say you're not getting hoes when you're allowed to? I can't wrap my mind around it. I still can't to this day. I can't wrap my mind around it.
Exactly. I don't understand it either.
Well, perhaps some people are motivated by the secrecy and about the capacity to be deceitful. I think sometimes because we have the options or the facilities to express different or alternative lifestyle choices than the mainstream, I think we assume that people have the baseline relational skills and the baseline capacity and the baseline consciousness or conscience required to execute these things. But some people don't. And some people profit from these structures and from these labels and from these communities or whatever you want to call them, simply to validate their bad behavior. So if somebody is of vacuous moral character at the core of their being, just because they say that they want to practice ethical non-monogamy does not make them ethical. It just gives them a shadow to hide behind. That's all that is. And sometimes, for the want of performing for somebody that is interesting and attractive to them, they might contort themselves. But that again doesn't mean that they have the capacity for the thing. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it.
Amen. Hallelujah. All of them hearts and minds. You said it right there, because you that's exactly it. A lot of people do things because they want to, they're hiding behind it. You said that, honey. You said that. That's it.
Eloquent, so well spoken. Yes, 100%. I mean, we've said it a couple of times. Like, just because you're in this poly relationship doesn't mean you have a free for all to do whatever you want and lie and cheat, and it's not what it's all about. Hold on, I'm sorry, I missed something here. I missed a question.
I feel like that's essentially what we've all just been discussing the entire time.
Yeah. Yes. So Shay, I wanna take it back to you. Do you feel like as you continue to explore your poly journey, is this something that you feel like is going to be a forever thing for you? Do you feel like this is just a relationship style that you're practicing right now, but later on, maybe in a few years you want to, quote unquote, settle down with one person, or what do you think?
No, yeah, this is me. This is who I am, somebody said something earlier and I wanted to just kind of put this out there too. Like, when, for anybody that goes into something with a poly person, they tell you they're poly, don't try to change them. Don't think that, you're going to be the one to, make them not be poly anymore, right? Like, respect someone's identity. I think that some people try to, they love bomb and they try to be everything for somebody when they've already told you like they're poly, and you have to be okay with that. But yeah, this is me. I don't know what's gonna happen, in life. I don't know what's gonna happen 5 minutes from now, right? Neither of us do. But I don't know if I can be with someone and hey, that may be the person that I'm with, and there may not be another person in the picture, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I'm poly. So yeah, being a poly is a part of my identity, and that's not going anywhere.
Okay, I love that, and then the same question for you, Banana Coffee. Although I think I know the answer to that. You're always going to be poly.
I have been poly for quite some time, and I do feel like polyamory is definitely a part of my identity. It's who I am at my core. But who knows? I never thought that I would get married, and I ended up doing so. So,
Do you see marriage in your future again?
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I mean, you can never say never.
Oh, you were gonna
And
say
we did it.
absolutely not or absolutely?
I was. I was.
Okay.
But when I got married initially, it was for legality. It wasn't for like love. So I would hope that I would want to that I would get so swept off of my solo poly feed or that I would sweep someone off of theirs. Sure, why not?
Okay. Okay. Well, listen, ask your questions, chat, before we start to wrap this up. This has been an amazing discussion. I think the thing that we've learned a lot. But I think for me, the thing that I'm taking away is that, like, you know, love is so expansive. You know what I mean? And it's not confined to just one thing. There are so many different types of ways that we can love each other. People become abusive. What are we talking about, abuse? It's crazy out here. Absolutely, absolutely. Respect to the lifestyle, and love is freedom.
Yes.
I just think it's not about fitting into this model. It's about building something that is honest enough to hold us. What's something that you learned about yourself while navigating poly? I want everybody to answer that who's in a poly relationship or been in one.
I would say I learned my power and freedom. Just that being poly and coming out as poly, like I don't have to conform to, what society wants me to be. I'm already a masculine presenting lesbian. I'm already a black woman, the odds are already against me, right? But I learned that there is so much power in just being free, being yourself, and also using your voice and standing in your truth.
I love that. I love that. Anybody else? Banana Coffee, what have you learned on your poly journey?
I thought I was off mute. I was saying that in the summer, I believe that's your name. You nailed that. Just being transparent. Like throughout each relationship that I've had, you have to shift, or you have to know that you can't shift, or you don't want to. You just have to be open about that. And the person that you're with, we also have to hone our discernment. Like all of our situations, it takes two, or it takes three, or however many people are present. It takes all of us. Just being honest and open with ourselves. I think that's what I've learned, that I am able to shift and it doesn't stop me from being poly, and that my shifting doesn't have to just be based on what the other person wants or just solely what I want. It has to be based on all of the parties involved.
Well said. I love that. Well said. Um, I think, you know, y'all really encouraging me to try this out again. Give it one more shot. Lock me down. That kind of freedom isn't for me. No shade. And that's cool. It's not for everybody, right? Um, it's not for everybody for sure. I appreciate
I think that this last comment is really interesting because I'm not polyamorous. I have never considered it for myself. I am too invested in my spiritual hygiene to ever venture that way. That said, one of the principles that is more promoted in polyamorous circles than elsewhere is the concept of informed consent, which is obviously predicated on honesty, open communication, accountability, transparency, etc. The more I learned or studied what those means and how those are fundamental relational skills, the more I realized that all relationship types require those skills. Even parental relationships require those skills. And I think that there's a way that I think we're in a moment in history where we're questioning, the patriarchy. We're questioning heteronormativity as we should. We are questioning power dynamics that have been built into traditional relationship structures as we should. And I think that there are ways in which monogamy and or non-monogamy can be freeing and can be liberatory and can be the things that people look for outside of monogamy, right? I think it just, as Banana Coffee has said multiple times, it depends on the players involved. You sit down and you come up with what your relationship is going to look like. And if, as Erin mentioned, you're a person that is into contracts, then you sit down and you hammer out a contract, and you discuss what it is that you require from a partner and what it is you are capable of providing as a partner. And those conversations are living conversations. You don't just have them when you first get together and then kind of put them in the shelf somewhere and forget that they exist. You keep revisiting. Yeah. So I think for me, one of the things that confirms to me that polyamory is not for me is the sort of vacillating nature of it all. I'm a person that is built for structure and built for stability, and not built for performing based on the temperaments of multiple people. However, I am built for navigating the multiple things of my one partner, right? And having that one honest witness and mirror for my life journey. So it's been really interesting hearing this conversation. What particularly intrigued me was the contradiction between how we're talking about polyamory, but all the time people were talking about one partner. But then if you are in a dynamic where you're having multiple partners, should you not always be referring to partners? Even if you are having casual others, those casual others also deserve the same type of valuation in your mind, particularly if we're talking about not not upholding hierarchies. So for me, this was a very, very interesting conversation to listen to. So thank you all for sharing your stories. Shay, you particularly for leaning into the vulnerability of the space. That was very, very fulfilling and enriching to hear. And Erin, as usual, thank you for the things that you do.
100%. I didn't do anything. I was just here asking my questions like everybody else, just fascinated by the level of like emotional maturity and honesty and all the other things that go into this dynamic. I think we learned that relationships are not one size fits all. But the most important things is, honesty and communication and emotional accountability. So I thank all of you for being here, for sharing your stories, even the people who are like, this is never something that is going to be for me. I appreciate all of you being here. So thank you so much for lending everything that you've lent to this conversation. Thank you so much, Shay. And Banana Coffee. I had no idea you had been in, I didn't know you were poly. I didn't know.
Yeah, lots of people. I mean, it's as we're all blossoming and blooming continuously. So sometimes, I open up a bit more as the situation allows.
For sure, for sure. Thank you for everybody on the panel. Like, I really appreciate y'all coming up and talking to me tonight. And thanks for being here. And I'll see y'all next time.
All right, take care.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.